Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to show you how to make a Word document more accessible. So where I'm going to start is I'm in Blackboard right now, and I'm going to open up the Word document we looked at in the last video in the Ally tool again so that we can review the issues that were identified in this document. So here's the Ally tool, and I'm going to click on all issues. And so what the Ally is finding in this document is that there are images without descriptions. The document does not have headings in it. The document contains a table without headers, and there's insufficient contrast between the text and the background. So now I'm going to open this document in Word and show you how to fix these issues. Now if you look at this document, what we're going to start with is the headers. When you are formatting a document in Word, the biggest thing that you can do to make your document more accessible is make sure that headings are in the document. If you look at this document, it looks like there are headings in this document. Because we have our site, we have these visual cues that allow us to know that student accommodations, attendance and participation, and requirements all look like headings within this document. But when a screen reader reads through this document, it does not recognize these as headings because all someone did was go in here and select the text and use the bold and underline options to make these look like headings. But a screen reader has no way to pick up on those changes, so a screen reader does not identify those as headings. So what you want to do when you are creating your document is make sure that you are using the heading features in Word to actually specify that these are headings. The first thing I want to show you is the navigation pane. If you're not familiar with the navigation pane in Word, to access it, all you do is click on View and then select Navigation Pane. This will open the navigation pane in the side of your window, and over here you will see any headings that may be in a document. And when we do that, we see that this document currently has no headings. So up here, I'm going to click back on the Home. And the way to add headings to a document is really simple. All you do is put your cursor in the row where you want a heading to appear, and then using these styles at the top of the page, you specify how you want that heading, what level you want that heading to be. So for instance, requirements, I'm going to make this a heading 2. And then I can scroll down and I can do the same thing with student accommodations. I can also make that a heading 2. And you'll notice as I'm doing this, over here in the navigation pane, you're starting to see the document structure come alive. So, and then attendance and participation. I'll also make that a heading 2. So as we do this, you can see how it creates a table of contents for the document. When you do this, you want to make sure that every document you create has a heading 1 in it. So here I typed in the word syllabus. So as a heading 1, you may use that as the name of your document. And then what I do is just find the heading 1 entry. And if I click heading 1, it then creates over here heading 1 syllabus. And the heading 2s automatically fall under it. This is critical because when a screen reader now accesses a document that does have these headings, it will actually tell the person listening to it that this is a heading in the main area of content within this document. The other thing that it does is the screen reader will actually allow a person to jump into this table of contents that we created and jump to a specific page or section of your document. So somebody with a screen reader has the option to have that screen reader read out just the table of contents. So they'll just get syllabus, requirements, students will sign up for dates, attendance and participation. And with their screen reader, they can jump to a specific section of that document. So just like you and I might pull out a document and quickly visually browse it, the screen reader will also allow them to browse the document if you have your headings set up the right way. So you can imagine if this was a 10-page syllabus and every time the students wanted to access the syllabus they had to listen to the whole thing just to get to the section they want. That's a huge time burden for those students. So just by adding these headings into the document, you can quickly make that document more accessible for your students. Now, some people may complain, I don't like the way this syllabus looks. Well, this is a heading 1, so what you could do is you could come in here and say, okay, I want to change the font size, and I want this to be black. So if you wanted to make it all consistent with APA formatting, you could do that. And once you've done that once, you can then right-click on the heading and just update the heading to match your current selection. And that will actually make your heading then look like the heading how you want it to be. And that will actually save those settings for all of your documents. So you only really need to do that once. So in this 2-second video, 2-minute video so far, we quickly have made this document much more accessible for your students. The next issue that was identified in ALI is that this document has images that do not contain alt tags. So let me tell you a little bit about what an alt tag is before we get into it. With each image, when a screen reader gets to an image, it doesn't know how to interpret this image. So basically all it will say is image, and then it will read whatever is in your alt tags. If the image does not have alt tags, it just says, the screen reader just says image with no other information. So when you are using images in your document, you want to make sure that you are including alt tags in your document with the images, especially with PowerPoint, which is more visual, and especially with images that are meant to convey meaning. So if you have a table or chart, an image of a table or chart in your document, you want to describe in your alt tags what is being displayed in that table or chart so that your students that can't see it will have some idea of what is being conveyed. So to add an alt text, again, this is really simple. You just select the image. Then if you right-click on it, you can select Format Picture. And when you select Format Picture, the sidebar will open. And if you click on the Layout and Properties, you can then select the alt text option. And all you need to do here in the description is type in your description. By default, you will get the file name of the image. But for your users, what you want to do is type in a description that is descriptive of what that image is. So for instance, here I might put in cute little computer, because that describes what is in the image. Now, it's not necessary to include image of or picture of. That's redundant because the screen reader will say image and then whatever is in your alt tag description. So you want to make sure you're just putting in what your description is here. Now, in some instances, you may have images that are just that don't convey content. They're just there for visual appeal. If the image is just there for visual appeal, what you can also do is just put in an open quote and an end quote. And when a screen reader comes across that, it will skip over reading image altogether. So somebody with a visual impairment won't get that image at all. So that's another way that you can make your document more accessible. All right, so those are two of the main issues that appear in Word documents and also in PowerPoints. Another issue that was identified is this table. With this table, there are no headers in the table. So when someone is trying to access this document using a screen reader, the screen reader is just going to go straight across the table, reading cell by cell. So it's not going to have any reference to which row they're in, which column they're in, or how these are related. So a best practice is to add a header to your tables. And again, this is a pretty straightforward process. All you do is right-click in your table. You can insert a row above, and that'll give you an empty row. And then you type in a header for your table. So for this first row, I might say this is the assignment. The next one could be grade or percent of grade, and then due date. So just by doing this, you are making that table more accessible for your students. The other thing you need to do, though, when you are doing this, is you actually need to tell the table and Word that this is a header. So what you do is you click in the table, and if you right-click, you can do Table Properties. And in Table Properties, you want to click on the Row option. And all you do is select this option, Repeat as Header Row at the top of each page. And that lets a screen reader know that that first row is a header in your document. So now, when the screen reader reads through this table, it'll actually read the header before it reads the cell, so that the student listening to this being read out to them has a better understanding of how the information in this table is arranged. So that was the other major issue that was identified through the Ally tool. The last issue that was identified is a contrast issue. Now I want to warn you, the contrast issue can often be a false positive because it's very hard for Ally to compare the text against the background. So you may get that as a false positive in the Ally score. But that's also related to another visual issue that Ally does not screen for, but that you should be aware of. If you look at this document, it's telling the students that they should sign up for one red, one green, and one blue chat date. And then it's got some due dates up here specified by color. Now this is an issue because some of your students may be colorblind. And if they're colorblind, they can't differentiate between the differences in these texts. So your better option than doing this by color would be to just group these together. So select one chat date from group 1, one chat date from group 2, or one chat date from group 3. So you want to avoid using color to differentiate between different things, because the colorblind students won't be able to make out those colors, and they'll have problems making that differentiation. Another thing that I want to point out that won't necessarily be picked up in Ally is links. When you have links, you want to make sure that your link text is actually descriptive. So if we look at these two links here, stu-accessibility@buffalo.edu, we really want to try to make that be more descriptive. So what my recommendation would be is to create a descriptive text. So instead of stu-accessibility@buffalo, we would do something like email the accessibility office. Or under here for website, we would actually have descriptive text that read accessibility office website. The reason you want to do this is that because of the way the screen reader will read this. You can imagine if accessibility. If a screen reader is coming through this document and it's reading this web address out, it's going to be very hard for a student listening to that to understand what it is they are being taken to, especially when you have websites with lots of random characters at the end of it. That really doesn't make sense to a student listening to this through a screen reader. So when you create a link, you want to make sure that your link uses descriptive text. So once I have a good description, I can then select the description, right-click on it, select hyperlink, and then paste the URL into the address field. And that will create your link, and it will take them to that website. So you want to make sure that when you are creating links, you're using descriptive text for those links. And you want to make sure that when you are doing the links, you want to avoid using text like click here or link here, because those are not descriptive enough, because it doesn't tell the students where they are going. And what a student using a screen reader can also do, they also have the option when they open a document to have that screen reader just read off all the links that are in the document. So if you have a document that has 5 or 6 links that all say click here, they won't know which one they're necessarily clicking on. So it really doesn't provide them with the information they need to access your links. So you really want to make sure that you're using these descriptive links. And the other thing is, you also want to make sure that you're using unique text for each link that goes to a different page. So if I was linking to the UB Accessibility Office, and then I was linking to maybe a School of Social Work Accessibility Office, I would want to use different text for each of those links instead of just Accessibility Office for both, because that could raise some confusion for a student who's using a screen reader to read those links off to them. So there we have it. We have gone through and we've addressed the major issues in Word. I'll also provide you with some links to some additional videos in case you're looking to learn more about these issues and how to fix them. So at this point, you should have a sense about how to fix the major accessibility issues in Word. And if you have questions about this, feel free to contact me. And don't forget, you can always look at, go back into Ally and click on these fix buttons next to the issues that are identified, and click on the how-tos to figure out how to go through these steps again.